How was Oppenheimer?
Oppenheimer was outstanding.
Really? Yeah.
It was really, really good. It's kinetic. It's fast paced. The performances are really good. A metaphor I like to use at the moment is the winning sporting team has like 3 great players, 5 good players, and like 3 bad players. But it's the team that won, not the players.
Yeah.
And maybe there are some elements that weren't so good or aren't going to be your favorite in any given film, but the whole package is really good. And I maybe found one bad player in Oppenheimer. Otherwise, I found it to be an extremely fantastic film.
Nice. Good. Because this one, strangely, my son has a friend in Kita, and we like his parents too. You know, it's not always like that. You will experience this.
Yeah.
And but we kind of got friends, and plus they live around the corner, and now they moved to Bavaria. And strangely, last weekend the father called me and said, Jan, let's go today to Mission Impossible or Indiana Jones. I was like, listen, we are busy. So Oppenheimer is something I would watch in the cinema, but to be honest, I don't need to go to Impossible 110 or something like that to watch it.
I saw Mission Impossible. I wasn't. It's because it's not very CGI heavy. I like it, but otherwise, I wasn't too thrilled by it by any means. And you're going to find this absolutely crazy. I only watched the first 2 Indiana Jones for the first time in my life in the past week. I think
really?
Raiders of the Lost Ark is so good. It's really good.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
Temple of Doom is also really good. I prefer Raiders.
Okay. For
I
me,
mean to watch Last Crusade.
Indiana Jones, I've watched in the cinema back in the 80s or 90s
That
or
must have
something
been
like that.
so fucking cool.
Yeah, it was like really nice. You got but and plus Harrison Ford is a cool guy back then already.
Yeah. Well, it's a shame cinema's dying. Welcome to the podcast, everyone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just reminiscing on good films that we watched recently, and my only recent introduction to Indiana Jones. I've known about him. I knew all the memes. You know how the guy gets the sword, does all the tricks, and then he just pulls out the pistol and shoots him. It's like I knew about all the memes and all the popular moments, but otherwise, I hadn't seen it in its entirety, and now I have, and it's good.
And this is exactly to get the curve to our topic of the day about actors, because my question for you is now, Indiana Jones back in the 90s or 80s, whenever this was shot, our main actor, he was kind of younger than nowadays. And sometimes, was this, when they go like this with the sword and the other one is just shooting, of course, this is in the script, but who has the ideas on set to go like this and to shoot? Is it the director? Does it come from the actor? Because when we are now talking about actors on strike, we're talking about authors on strike, and who has the ideas, who is earning what, and how can we combine all this with artificial intelligence? And
Okay, that was very loaded, but okay, let's try and use the Indiana Jones to start off with.
yes.
There is a rumor or a sort of urban legend, if you would, that Harrison Ford got food poisoning the day before he was going to film that. Oh,
It was me because the camera got frozen.
Yep. An urban legend that Harrison Ford got food poisoning the night before and didn't want to do a sword sequence, and so instead shot the guy. But I don't know whether that's true, because in terms of a character moment and an anti-climax in this really big action sequence that's going on, it's pretty perfect. And it's hard to tell whether that was in the script or whether it went differently. We'll never really know the truth. But what you were saying about actors' involvement and wanting to change things, that's definitely been the case many times. I believe Harrison Ford would actually be one of those people who's like, do this, do that, do this. I think in Star Wars, he wanted to die. He wanted Han Solo to die at the end. I know Robert Downey Jr., when he played Charlie Chaplin, was basically like, he basically knew Charlie Chaplin's timeline. And when they're filming a scene, he would go, I don't actually think we should do this because he was actually going through a divorce at this time and was kind of experiencing this and that. And I don't think he'd be feeling happy. And I'm putting it in a more polite term. But yeah, to answer the question, yes, actors do get involved in the storytelling of a production. Actors are the faces and the people that you identify with a story first, I would say. It's easier to remember actors than a director compared to a writer and stuff like that. It's like, it's not often that you go, watch this Aaron Sorkin film or, whoever it may be.
Of course, I mean it started already way before the cinema or picture. Anyways, with books, when you read a book, you have a certain and the main character, of course, we both read exactly the same book. Your main character will look probably different in your imagination than mine.
Totally.
Even though it's the same book or the same story and everything. So of course the actor is a face. Or is the face of the character. And sometimes, you can, as an audience, you can say, wow, it's exactly what I imagined. Or what the fuck, I thought it's a woman who has only one tit, and excuse my French. So,
good job, good timing.
So, this is one part of my thesis. The other thing is that you have directors in the business who say to the actors, please don't think, you have to act what I'm telling you to do. Back in the old days, the producer, or put it this way, the whole film structure and everything industry was done in Europe and the USA. France has something special, but in the rest of the world, the producer owns everything. Yep. It's not the director, but the producer owns the rights because he's buying it from them. And do you know the producer of all the films? No, they are not right in the position. And I bet 100% or 99% of the audience, they never know the producer. But it's by law, the first guy who owns everything. So he should say, listen, Indiana Jones, you should do the knife scene and not the shooting scene. This is not going to happen because there's a fucking director, there's an author, and there's the cameraman too, who sit in pre-production and they talk about it. Because getting up and even calculating a SWAT scene compared to a shooting scene is something different.
Yeah. You
know? Especially for rehearsal. I mean, the Hollywood studios and sometimes in Germany too, they do rehearsals before shooting, and
Australia
that's
too,
good.
Believe it or not.
Yes, I mean it's good because then you learn, you are able to change, and you're not wasting the time of everybody else.
Yep.
But at least on the shooting day, if there's and this is all over the world, there will be always the safe shot. You can always use because this comes from the guy who has to spend the money. This is always the producer,
and it's going to be what was on the storyboard. It's going to be what's mapped out, documented, listed, all that sort of
Exactly. This is what everybody wants.
Yep.
And then, you have that. And maybe you have a second take of it, And then if you are safe, then the director says, okay, let's do something else if we have time. Or someone starts to think, and that's always the actor. And then, you run into problems because this is something new. And when you're not really professional in fitting your timings, you will always run in overtime. And overtime is not a position to say to an actor, listen, we can now play around for 2 or 3 hours. That's not the point.
Yeah.
Especially in Hollywood, especially there,
Yeah.
because they are so timing wise so perfect, and they know that every minute costs them a lot of money.
Yeah, the riggers need to pack up. We need to send the lighting guys home. The camera guys, once they reach hour 15, we have to pay them quadruple and shit like that. And
Exactly.
especially the American mindset towards it. It's like it is on the dot. I want to ask you though, one of the big things that you taught me, and one of the first things that you taught me was when you're a producer, you don't get an opinion. This is a role that is about function and the execution of production. So, wouldn't, especially in the case where, I guess what I'm trying to say is, why should the producer intervene in a creative decision like that? I know that there is a schedule, and a good director should know that there is a schedule and stuff like that, and has to get things done. But is that the producer who should be more strict, or should the director be a little bit more on top of things?
In my opinion, yeah, it is because now you have to manage psychics. You have to manage brains, and the thing is, some directors evolve into a producer in their life. They see, hey, fuck, I'm a better producer than a director.
More money, more power.
Yeah, and in Germany we have this one Bernd Eichinger. He's already dead, but he was he was a director from studying, and he became the producer. And he's a very strong guy into art and all this. He has a lot of knowledge, or he had a lot of knowledge about what a director does.
Yeah.
But he always puts a director into position, because this is important, because the director is taking care, because I want a certain style, and that's very important. But a producer, in my opinion, has always to interfere when the director or the other creative parts are taking the main idea too far.
Yep.
Because the main idea comes out from the producer, because the producer has this empty piece of paper, and then he starts to write something, and he sees, okay, yeah, I understand it, it's really cool. And then his girlfriend or wife sees this and says, what the fuck is this? I don't understand. And then he says, okay, let's give it to a director. And the director writes something, and then the producer says, really cool, I love it. And then I give it to to the author, and then the director gets it, and the director is changing what the author is doing, and then they work together. And this is always something. And the producer, from that point, when he has an author writing the script and the director, he has to manage his whole bottom line idea, so to speak. Is it a movie about refugees coming from New Zealand to Australia?
Yep.
Or are aliens coming to Australia suddenly? It's...
Well, some people think they're both, but in any case, I do. Yes, it is important as someone in a producing position who's also doing financial backing and or in a management role to put the hammer down, and knowing when to do that is also very important. And it's sort of the strength of a producer to find that balance, but also managing talent, especially creative people. Their heads are just ridiculous, okay? They've come up with crazy shit. I think I've mentioned this before in early episodes. I couldn't compete with the other people in my cohort in university in terms of writing and directing, because they were filming stuff with their mates on the weekend, coming up with a new short film every month, and just coming up with ideas and ideas and ideas. Now, whether these short films are actually good, I don't know. I couldn't keep up with any of it. But the key thing was these guys had so much creative vision and ideas, and they just wanted to make and make and make, but they wanted to make and didn't really know about how to properly execute it. So you sort of realize, where do your talents lie? Mine actually lie closer to the execution part of it. Here's how I can help you. And these guys wouldn't offer to pay me, so that's why I don't have many short film credits. But
Yes, I see.
it's
But it's
interesting there. Um, yeah, damn. But
but this
this.
is
Yeah, sorry.
you hit the right point by saying that you have to manage those creatives. That's a lot, and it be because that's why we are looking as a producer. We are looking for these crazy one in a million creatives because they have in their heads ideas which we don't have,
Yeah,
and then we make something new, whatever is the world hasn't seen it, and this thing is now it's and that's the important thing is nowadays is back then 100 years ago it was easy because the producer knew he needs a film at the end of the day which is broadcasted very large in a dark room.
yep,
That's it. And then the people are crazy to pay money to sit in a dark room and to watch and hear. Now is the producer has to think much more in different ways to get the money back, and plus the format is changing a lot,
yeah,
you know and this makes it even more complicated to find us because the producer and going back to the strike of the authors and the direct and the
actors.
actors, you know at the bottom of the line, the way I understand is they always want more money, and it's not about getting more creativity or more freedom or more projects. It's always about we want more money because the studios are the rich ones and you have to give it to us. And
Yeah,
I even think the deal breaker was $1 billion US, which the industry wanted to give more to the actors, and they say it's not enough. You know?
yeah. I don't necessarily know too much about the particular figures, but just for the sake of some of our audience, let's backtrack and actually give a bit of an update to what's going
Yes,
on
please.
regarding the SAG-AFTRA and their involvement in the strike. So, as some of you would have heard a few episodes ago, we talked in depth about the Writers Guild of America, the WGA, going on strike. And either 2 weeks ago or a week ago, SAG-AFTRA, and SAG stands for the Screen Actors Guild of America, and then AFTRA is like the American Film, TV, something association. Um, they have also gone on strike, and they have gone on strike because they were looking to renew their new deal with the governing body that manages studios and studio executives, and they could not come to a good deal. And because of that, they are now on strike. But there are lots of similar problems that were going on in both the WGA and SAG, and this included residuals. And a really big video that came out in 2020 where this actress from Orange is the New Black, she was in 44 episodes of Orange is the New Black, and for her quarterly residuals got $27.30 from streaming, which, look, that's ridiculously small and crazy. And it's this, and the other big thing that they have issue with is AI. But I
Yes.
can see
Yes.
you are looking to say something there, so I'll stop talking for a
Yes.
second and let you say something.
Yes, exactly. Because the way we shouldn't forget is that the actors got paid, and they talk about the streaming extra money which
Yep.
comes on top.
Yeah.
And now I have to choose my words right, because over here what they do is they go on strike and then they leave. For example, the actors leave on a premiere before the film starts the cinema,
Yep.
so they can go on strike. but the film is produced, so everything is done. So the leverage of power isn't as strong as when the director says and the producer, hey, we have shooting tomorrow. A, B, C actors, they are coming, and they are not coming.
Yeah.
Then the producer has a big problem because it's the tax, then the money just runs out because he booked everything is paid, and the big shit is running,
Yeah, yeah. And
So it's
Hollywood
like,
is only as good as their last quarter.
yes, exactly. And it's like, when the bus driver goes on strike, he doesn't
Yep.
drive.
Yep.
Okay? It's not driving, and at the end of the day, he sits there and says, I'm on strike. That's what, a lot of actors are doing. Plus, they are saying, I want more money from a second or from another way to earn money, without taking the risk. Because what happens if the film is a huge flop and they don't get money and the producer doesn't get money, like the Indiana Jones, the new one? It's a piece of crap money wise.
Yeah,
They
it
spend
hasn't
way
done
too
well.
much money. So the producer, someone is making negative outcome at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Do I get the money back from the actors then too?
Oh, okay. I see what you're getting at. Okay, so there's two notions of income from being an actor. You get paid your wage for acting, and then you get residuals. Now, the wage for being an actor is, can be very dependent. Of course, I expect Harrison Ford to get paid more than Phoebe Waller-Bridge, given their status and their popularity. And then in terms of residuals, I'm not too sure how necessarily that should get split up. I think the important thing about residuals for both writers and actors is work is never necessarily guaranteed. They can do one job. Nobody realized that Seinfeld and Friends was going to go for 10 seasons necessarily, so they only, you can get lucky and get on a job like that and stuff like that. And writers come in and out, they leave jobs, they do whatever. But if you're just writing on a film or you've written something, you just can, sometimes the script just gets bought and that's it. And you actually don't know if another script that you write will ever be bought again and stuff like that. So residuals as a concept, I'm actually okay with, because when your property still does well and your IP gets, does well, you actually still get paid for its success and stuff like that. I think that's actually fair enough. It is also possible to make a bad deal.
Yes. But another question I have is then the residuals you always say. These are the royalties,
Yes.
just for my
We'll say
understanding.
royalties
Okay.
for your sake, sorry.
Yes, okay. So then we have a problem in my world, because if I'm a musician, I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm Bob Dylan. One-person band show, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
And I started my career with fucking 12, by playing this.
I'm the Bob Dylan group. Yeah.
And then, I got success a little, because, I can live out of this. First of all, I can pay all my bills. I have no chance to change becoming a Bob Dylan to Rihanna. This is not possible for me as Bob Dylan, as the musician, because I'm Bob Dylan. I am not Rihanna or Jay-Z. I cannot go. Bob Dylan doesn't do hip hop, right?
Are you saying like a genre change?
Right. Every actor is able to do.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
To play a gangster, to play the policeman, to play some roles, crazy roles, For example, what's his name again? Our Die Hard guy who has
Bruce
been mentioned.
Willis.
Bruce Willis. He always was for me a guy. He's an action hero guy.
Yeah, tough guy.
And
yeah.
then suddenly the film came up, 12 Monkeys. He played this crazy guy. For me, he changed the role completely. I saw him not anymore as an action hero.
Mm.
So an actor has the ability to swap roles, to even gender, even sexuality. I can fuck in one film women, and in the next one I love men.
Yeah.
It's complete sexual, complete different. You know, so it is. I'm not me. I'm not as an actor. I don't play Jan Scholz. I always play a role who someone writes for me.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. Yeah.
know, and then this role gets up by a director, by a cameraman, by all these other people who say, listen, you have to wear that. Maybe you get a scarf on your face here. There's an extra guy who's doing this. Or am I hitting my head on
Yeah.
a fucking chainsaw? So I have this thing. No, it's not happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as a producer, as a director, of course we need a face. We want the Brad Pitt guy or the unknown guy or woman or transgender, whatever, But royalties for them, it's kind of, I don't know if they should get so much. Because if a Bob Dylan says, I'm a Bob Dylan and I stay here and I'm not becoming the next jazz singer, whatever, um, this is what has to fit. And no one will believe him that he jumps now into American gospel, you
Yeah.
know? But
Well,
as an actor, I can do this.
well, think of it like a business. A product can come out 5 years ago that people still buy today. And the
Yeah.
people in the agreement, in the stakeholders and shareholders, in their division of equity, get paid accordingly. So what comes in, that was really complicated English, but did you get what I meant?
Yeah, yeah.
So people get paid depending on the deal that they have in the company that they're working for in terms of profits. And for some people, it's a salary, and for some people, it's dividends from owning shares. And I think in terms of a creative property, it still is a business. And that's the thing that people seem to forget when it comes to these strikes. Hollywood is a fucking business. Hollywood wants to make fucking money. And
Yeah.
this money that people want the money for these actors and writers to come from the top. It's not coming from the fucking top. It just won't. It never has. The rich always succeed. So let's get that out
Yeah.
of the fucking way. I
Yeah,
do
exactly.
think, though, that the continual success of an IP should be shared with those who have been part of it in the form of royalties and residuals. And there's always been problems with it with actors. The last time SAG and the writers went on strike, it was Ronald Reagan in charge
What?
of SAG. Yeah.
Crazy.
Um, but this, there's always been problems like this in Hollywood. But I do believe that actors should share in the success of a property and its ongoing success.
Yeah.
And there were, you can get to a status where you can be Jack Nicholson playing the Joker and be like, I want a percentage of box office. And that was a really big gambit. And, actors often don't go in solo to this. They have teams, they have a manager, they have an agent, potentially a publicist, who knows, all that sort of stuff. It's it's hopefully a team decision. I was going to say it is a team decision. It's hopefully a team decision. Hopefully the actor isn't being bullied by their management to do certain jobs and stuff like that.
Can be too.
Can be, totally. And it's pretty horrific when you hear about it. But I just think that principle of continuing the success of a project, the actors should be a part of that, and as should the writers. And the producers get a bigger slice because they're taking the biggest risk, and the biggest risk is the financial risk and
Absolutely.
all that sort of
Absolutely.
stuff. The
And,
the runners, the riggers, the cameramen and stuff like that, the catering hire and all those sorts of things. If you get paid a salary for your small contribution, that's it. If you're an extra, you're gonna get paid your salary for the day, and that's it. But if you fall into that bracket of really important for a production, you deserve a cut of a slice of the pie for its ongoing success, whether it has it.
I'm absolutely on your side, Joe. I have two examples. One is one comes out of the restaurant industry. The tips.
Mm.
Where I tip, I don't have to tip in Germany. I don't have to. It's not mandatory. But usually it's like 10%, 15%. It depends.
Yep.
So who gets the tip? Is the tip only then for the waiter, or is the tip for everybody and they share? It depends on the fucking restaurant. That's the answer. Because in someone they say, well, no, it's the fucking service person, the waiter, the waitress who gets the extra tip because they bring the food to the table. Or at the end of the day, they put all the extra money into a jar and then they sit and then they say, okay, we are 15 people and everybody gets the same percentage out of it. Even the guy who's just cleaning the dishes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because he's
well,
part
first
of
of all, I've only been to 2 premieres in my life, and I haven't walked up to the director and given him 20 euros. The thing is, though, with tips, and I kind of agree with how it gets worked up, because you know how on the FPOS machine, they just like add tip, add 10%, like that.
Yeah.
That's going into the card system, and then that definitely doesn't go to the waiter, definitely. Like, it definitely goes into a pool, which is then divvied up. But it goes back to what I was saying initially in terms of tips. The best way, if you think a waitress deserves a tip, or the person who serves you, cash is king. Give him a 10, give him a 20, whatever it may be. But I'm not too sure tipping works in mass media and
yeah, no, it's just only my metaphor. If I put royalties to the director, or the cast, the cast is especially in Hollywood. They don't wake up by them. Maybe they wake up by themselves, but then from that point on, they get treated like everything else, and the driver is the important person who brings the actor on time to the set. If this is not happening, the driver fucks it up right there, extra costs.
Yeah.
So he's a very important part. And especially if I have an actor who has some drinking problems and had a short night, and he wants that no one is talking in the fucking car, no fucking radios on, and he wants to have his black coffee. If the driver is not able to do this, he brings a fucked up actor on set. No one wants that.
Yeah.
So it is part. The driver is a very important part of the whole production. The same as the cleaning person in a restaurant, because if the person doesn't clean the plates right, the service person, the waitress, will bring dirty dishes to the table, and then I will say, listen, I'm not going to eat that. And then no one gets a tip. That's all I want is how far things are. And the other example is much more of our industry. On Sundays in Germany, we have from 15 past 8 p.m. a show called Tatort. That's a criminal thing. It's run by each. Germany has counties.
Yep.
16 of them, I think. And each county has basically, it's always a inspector duo, and they always solve a crime.
Yeah, criminal
Sundays.
of the week, NCIS, Law and Order.
Exactly,
yep.
Stuff like that. And it's called Tatort.
It sounds way cooler than Law and Order.
Yeah,
actually, Law and Order is a pretty cool name. I take it back.
Yeah, I think so too. It's working for everything else. But the thing is, the Tatort, it's the place where where it happened, basically. Yep. That's it called. And they have an opener. You see legs running, and then you see only this part, the eye part. Jing, jing, jing.
Mm-hmm.
This is mandatory for all Tatorts.
Yep.
At the beginning. They have to cut it before the whole story starts, since the 70s. The guy who was shot here with his eyes got paid once. Imagine how much royalty he would get for every Sunday since the 70s. We're talking about 50 years now.
Yeah. When Phil Knight, who founded Nike, needed the swoosh design, he
Yeah.
paid Carol Davies or something. I got her name wrong. I think it was just a woman, $15, and that was standard graphic
Yeah.
design rate,
Right, yes.
and stuff like that. And then they became a multi-billion-dollar company. And at their 20th anniversary or something like that, he invited her over and basically shook hands and gave her a royalty deal. And so,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's always, for us, it's because you cannot really judge a person just by the eyes. Usually, they
yep,
take out the eyes like that, and you can't judge. But even this, uh, I don't, I think if the work is brilliant or good and everybody's happy, and there's money there, you can always talk to a producer and you can always find a way to say, listen, guys, for example, even in the music video industry, if you produce music videos on a business standard in Germany, you need to have, say, roughly 3 productions a month. That's
yeah,
like, because you have projects from 5,000 euro to 50,000 euro within that range. And I bet 70% are below 25,000 euros nowadays,
yeah,
and, and it's tough to make a good business by only shooting one video a month. It's not enough. As a producer, I always hire line producers to produce each video, you know. And if I have a producer, because if I produce them and be a line producer, I make one a month, because then you're dead. So I need more projects coming in, and then I get line producers to produce these things for me, as an exec producer. And if I have, in this business model, if a freelance producer produces 2 videos out of those 3 per month, this person earns more
yeah,
salary than me.
yeah.
So because I have to make my cut out of those 3 productions per month. So 30, 60, 90%, put it this way. The freelance producer, he gets paid by project, and he's doing 2 projects a month, and the amount is higher than those 3 films, for me, the salary out of those 3 for me. Does
Yeah.
it make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I see what you're getting at.
You,
I'd probably agree
yeah,
with you there. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. You see, and me as a we were fighting back in 2000 as a producer for music videos. And the way is, the music label, for example, Sony or Universal Music,
Mm-hmm.
sends by email a track and says, I want tomorrow or maybe in 2 days a script for this. And I would like to have 5 scripts from you
I
guys.
was gonna say, don't they ask for like multiple? Yeah,
Exactly. So I have 5 directors writing for this. One director maybe wins it. The rest 4 never get paid because they work for, let's say, 2 days to write this. They never get paid. The director who wins the music video gets paid once. There's no fucking royalties for him or anything else.
this
Or for me.
this is an interesting thing though, because perhaps should we consider or agree that in a creative endeavor, there's going to be a gambit in sort of no matter what you do, and in terms of strictly being creative writing, a director's interpretation or whatever it may be, it's like who should get paid for what. I think in the case of a music video though, because it's the music that is the main thing, it's like then there's the music video. It's sort of like it's a subsidiary of the music. It's the music first and the music video second. And perhaps the music video, it adds to the artist's portfolio, and if they're trying to do new deals and get a tour or stuff like that, then the music video gets added to package, being like, look, we've got this many streams, we've got this many views on YouTube and stuff like that. Or back in the day, it's like, hey, we charted on MTV and whatnot. I think that the writer and actor strike that mainly affects major Hollywood production, though, where it is big studios. I think in the sense of a music video, it's because it's a once off project, often funded by the studio, that is just going to get residuals, and it's a smaller production, generally speaking. Well, it can be big, of course, 50,000 versus 5,000. They kind of play it by different rules, and the royalty issues would mainly just go to the studio, and it'd just be salaries for the crew who worked on it, including producers and directors.
But as a music video, in a music video, I can shoot music videos without the band, without the musician. I need actors, I need styling, I need locations, everything like a little film.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely 100% sure.
Oh, and you'd have to go through
world,
SAG to get actors. Okay, I see what you're getting at. I didn't think of that.
And I bet all over the world, if there's a song and you have bad visuals to it, the song will suck. If you have a bad song and you have great visuals, the song will be performing well.
Oh, I'm not too sure about that. I don't know that, because the last time we had this, we talked about strikes. You said that great writing and a bad director can make a bad film, but bad writing and a great director can make a great film. And so I don't know that this applies to music videos. I've definitely seen music videos and been like, this is weird as fuck. Like Save Your Tears by The Weeknd. I love that song. It was the best in the album, but the music video has got all of this prosthetics on his face, and he looks like a parody of a Kardashian. And I'm like, I don't understand how this relates to the song and what's going on. And so, but the song itself was more successful than that video for sure.
My question is, which is the biggest platform to listen to music in the world?
I think it's currently, at least the two biggest players will be Apple Music and Spotify.
Less YouTube.
Really?
It's YouTube.
Okay.
People, even if they don't watch, it's YouTube. Everything is visual nowadays, and it's not a mandatory when I say, okay, a bad video makes a good song, like to fuck it up, of course there's like stuff, but to consume for us the music, it's like YouTube a lot, maybe it's different to every single country, because maybe Sweden, as Spotify country, everybody listens to Spotify and they don't watch YouTube channels so much, But to be honest, Sweden is not a market. It's not a relevant market when it comes to sell music.
Yeah,
we have the USA, we have Europe, Great Britain, and then Japan. But the biggest market for listening music is China. But China, they don't buy music. For China, it's something.
They probably don't listen to much English music
either. That's another point, But just for the way people consume stuff, Chinese, what I heard is, because 20 years ago, I wanted to start a German Chinese woman rapper to rap in Chinese.
Hell yeah.
Because you have, I think, I don't know how many million teenagers are there in the maybe 10 million or something like that,
much more. I know what you're getting at.
I don't know. It's a huge market, it's a huge fucking market, because if we have 10 million and I want like 10% out of it, it's like already a million there.
Well, exactly. The percentage can still be small, but the number is fucking huge,
outrageous high. And then you make a living even with YouTube streaming, and you need $1 million to get €1.50 for 1 million views. That's ridiculous, of course.
Yeah,
of course. But I think, you know, I don't have those Spotify's and Apple Music. I go to iTunes and I buy the song because I know that from this revenue model, the creative who owns that, who has the idea, gets much more money.
Yes. The only thing I'm going to say to you about that is, in terms of a economic decision, how much is a single like on iTunes? If you were to buy one song,
129.
okay, 129 euros. Great. So 129 euros is about $2 Australian for any Australian listeners. And what this means is I can buy that, you know, one song and add that to my playlist. Or, so to add any music to what I listened to previously, I have to spend 129 per song. Or if I buy an album, maybe it's cheaper, who knows. But 129. Or I can spend $15 or 12 euros or whatever it is for the subscription, where I get access to 13 billion songs. And I can add them whenever I want.
Yeah.
And all I need to do to reach my €1.30 is just add 10 songs to my playlist, which I might do in a given month. Realistically, I might actually add 20 songs. So if I think of how much I'm benefiting from that financially, it is a clear, obvious decision to go to a streaming service. And that is why streaming services in terms of music have just one.
Yeah.
And Apple also have a streaming, Apple Music have a streaming option too.
And there's another thing, getting back to the strike, you know, knowing this, why don't we then go on the street and strike for more money paying?
That's what they're doing.
You know, you know, you and me converted to, because when I go to Spotify and say, fuck you guys, are you crazy? 10 euros a month for all of that? For how many million songs you said? Like 30 million?
30
or 40
billion,
million?
billion.
Billion, you know. So I want to pay 20 euros per month.
Yeah, it's.
But who gets the money then? It's always the fuck, because it's a company, and the company has one reason to make profit. That's why.
Yeah.
You know, that's why the author doesn't has a company. Why is not the author, you know, to be bad now to say every American author can open up American fucking studio. What about that? Why is not all the American guys open up their own studios? They have enough space. It's a huge country, you know. Then they have a lot of money going on, so they find investors.
No, they don't. They clearly don't. If you're at an entry level writer, there hasn't been money for the past 12 years, and that's why they're on strike. It's not as easy as just open a thing. Not many people want to, because some people want to write. They don't want to own a business. They want to write. And doing what you're saying means owning a business, and that just switches people off faster than you can say applesauce. Like, it's just a no-go. And, you know, people who are a bit more producer mindset think that. But unfortunately, whilst I, to an extent, agree with you, the common writer and just the average actor as well don't necessarily want to get into producing business and stuff like that. They're creative mind.
Yeah. You know, and that's why I think it's very tough always to say, I want a big chunk of it, because without me, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's there has to be a certain
There's
thing.
A balance, and that's what we have to figure out.
Exactly. And as soon as there's money involved and pricing, it's tricky. It's wild west.
Yeah.
You know, because I say I'm worth $1 million, you know, and then you say, yeah, but I think I'm worth 900,000. So who you go to, you know, is it always the more expensive or the lower? So that's a big part. And then plus it's an international business, and they have different possibilities. You know, you in Australia, it's for you pretty much common to live in a house by yourself. You know,
not really.
And
not in the house.
No, okay. No. But for example, in America,
sorry.
You know, so in America, people say, yes, of course, I live in a house, you know. And over here in Europe, it's more, no, I live in an apartment. and these little things you can't compare.
Yeah,
Sometimes, or it's tougher to compare. And then, you with your Australian approach is with the European approach is different, and but all over the world, everybody's selling coffee, and coffee is like for the business industry, we're talking about 1,000%
yeah,
profit.
yeah. I remember my mum
So
telling me, actually, just as a funny thing, a coffee machine at an office is so fucking expensive. You
yeah,
do not understand. And before I worked for you, the company I worked at had 220 employees and had a giant coffee machine that like took up the whole desk I'm on. And I was like, the monthly cost for coffee beans and to keep this operating is ridiculous.
exactly. And so my question is, if I have an office of 20 people and I say, listen, guys, for everybody, coffee and water free, no problem. But at the end of the month, each of you guys have to put 5 euros into this little can.
Yeah.
How much coffee do you drink then? Or do you drink less or more? Or or are you saying, well, I don't
Well,
drink coffee, guys?
€5 for a month of unlimited coffee. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, looking into my cashier, they say, well, are you crazy? You have 15 people paying 5 euro each month. That's only 75 euros, But they drink for 700 euros.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
I wanted to ask
you,
actually.
yeah.
I've just noticed we've been going for 50 minutes. We're getting really good at doing these podcasts because we just keep going. But the second part of this, and we'll kind of make this quick because we talk about it all the time. With the actors, they're part of the deal that they were trying to not have as part of acting was for extras. They would pay them for the day, scan them, use their likeness in perpetuity without permission, without contact or anything like that to be used in CG forever. And
Yeah.
that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and the thing is that they even said that they want to have strict rules how to handle the AI within directing and the film industry.
Yep.
This was one big thing. Even the owner or the owner of ChatGPT doesn't know where it's going. So they want something from the industry which the industry doesn't know yet.
Yeah, I would.
And
Oh, sorry. Carry on.
yeah, and then the second thing is, it's like saying to the car industry 100 years ago, listen, I buy the car, but there's no gear for riding backwards because I don't have a mirror, I don't want to turn around, so it's always going straight forwards.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the car, and no driving backwards. Please make this. And then the industries would say, what the fuck are you talking about, And, it's always, yes, I do have an opinion, but in Germany we say having opinions is like assholes. Everybody has one.
Yeah.
And there's only shit coming out.
Yep. I'll tell you what I think. And I was talking about this with my brother and mum, and I think that in terms of AI input in creative things, writing and acting, there needs to be a human quota, if you know what I mean. And I would say minimum 51% has to be done by humans or something like that. And I think that is a good idea because it means that AI doesn't take control and run rampant. And it also means that humans will have the majority say at the end of the day, given a project or anything like that. And there have been experiments with AI about writing articles about economics and stuff like that and all this other shit. And it scares the fuck out of people who like get involved with it because it's like too good. But AI is not going away. And what's cheaper, 10 people in a writer's room or 4 people and an AI? 4 people and an AI. and the 4 people are being paid to train the AI. There's no reason to go to the 10, and the fact that they're just asking for more for that sake is actually more dissuading from the studio side of things, unfortunately. But that's at least what I think, a quota.
I would say it's only on, you can watch only AI on Tuesdays.
Okay.
You know, it's like something to forbid. It's always, you know, going back to the car again. You know, it's they were driving. You know, the people who invented the fucking car, they saw the opportunity. You know what will change? It changes our life. This technology. It's or internet. You know, don't go back all the way to the car industry. Let's go back to the internet.
Internet. Yeah.
You know, at the beginning of the 90s, they saw, okay, fucking hell. You know, we have here something. You know, and then at the end of the 90s, suddenly people were able to use this internet thing. You know, and of course back then people said, yeah, hold on, but you know, there were so many things vanish, you know, there will be so much and people are just watching now, and you know, they forget and stuff. The being afraid of a new technology, especially disruptive technologies, are huge.
Yep.
For sure. But the thing is that, and that's a big problem in Germany. We have always we make laws where we say this is not allowed. And the thing is that if you do this, you of course you stop it, but it's not a stop. The wall to in science, there is no wall. There is a wall, but the wall is like that. So there's someone is slipping through always. And you know, and then you make yourself much slower into it when you say we say, okay, certain things 51% has to be done by humans. You know, it's my question is, we are not letting, if I lose both legs and I get like new legs with carbon, and I start running the 100 meters, I'm quicker than fucking Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Because I use technology. You know, we have a big discussion. I don't know if you have this in Australia about the Winter Olympics, about rodeln. You know, when you sit on those things and you slide down. Do you know this thing?
Yeah, I know it. Yep.
Yeah.
It's not too common here, but tell me what
yeah, exactly. The Germans always win. It's like gold, everything.
German efficiency. Bang. Let's do
it. Inside the fucking rodel thing where the human sits on it or it's driving it because of the fucking machine. No France, no fucking all the other one. Maybe Austria is part of that too. You know, okay. But the rest of the world, they will never win fucking medals. So, and then they started to limit to say, okay, you're only allowed to use certain material and blah blah blah, you know. So, and yes, we need to have a framework for the artificial intelligence for sure, but we cannot limit them at the beginning. We have to see what's going on, and that's why they threw out ChatGPT in the world to see what's happening.
Okay, I get what you're saying. It's gonna, well, given how disruptive it is, it's currently causing problems. The fact that the two big organizations are on strike, it's ultimately not good. And it went from, for Deadpool 3, for their production, a very highly anticipated film, they had to stick to the script and no one could improvise because there were no writers on set to okay the improvising and stuff like that. Now, given that SAG is on strike, production shuts down entirely. And so it's there were also 2 productions in Australia that shut down, and 800 jobs suddenly stopped because of it. So
yes,
there's lots of,
it will be huge. You know, the tax industry, and I'm not kidding. I think to see the whole world. 90% of tax laws and all these things, what you need with taxes, is written in German.
Yeah.
The tax industry will vanish because we don't need them. If you have artificial intelligence, you don't need them. The whole thing now, the people have to see that being a handicraftsman, do you say this in English?
Yep. A tradesman.
These
Yeah.
tradesmen, they have no golden hands because they are like doing those things, what a machine is not able now to use. But they will vanish, all those people who have no knowledge and they are just carrying shit, concrete, up the fucking scaffolder. Is that right? Scaffolder things on
Yeah.
if you renovate, you need these things, and then no humans are doing this.
Yep.
In a couple of years, robots are doing that.
You know how?
But there will,
okay, here's a great one that I learned about. You know how on Google when you do "I'm not a robot" and they say click on the cars.
yeah.
That is actually an experiment that Google is training an AI.
Yes.
A AI has done the test to identify the cars, and it's comparing your answer, and then success or failure, and it's getting billions of inputs. Yeah.
Yes, and this is how it learns, but my point is that if the whole industry will kill so many jobs, but on the other hand, they will create a lot of jobs. And you cannot create new jobs by saying this is forbidden.
Yeah.
You cannot forbid to save.
Well, that's
all
what
those
I'm not saying
things.
forbidden though. I'm saying a quota, so a percentage has to be available.
Yeah.
If I go from media comms into AI management, do I then have to learn C++ and other coding so I can optimize the AI? And I know people who have gone to school for the equal amount of time to learn that sort of stuff. So of course I get an advantage, but suddenly I'm useless and suddenly you're useless. Jesus, you can't even open your fucking email. Good luck programming an AI to format a script.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big thing, but as a human nowadays, because it's changing so much our working life.
Yeah.
My parents grew up when they worked. You start at a company and you stay at the company at the rest of the working life.
Yep.
We don't have that nowadays. Then suddenly everybody is now able to work from home, or many people, many jobs, and all these. I even have discussions I'm following up by people who say all sitting jobs will vanish. All desktop jobs will vanish. What the fuck?
Jesus.
You know?
That's a scale for a different pod.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary, but we need to be open and we need to see opportunities and not stop the stop sign.
I agree with you. I'm in total agreement with you there. We should embrace it, and we're in the Wild West at the moment. And I think this new technology, whether I have time to elaborate, I think with the strikes, the golden age of streaming is over.
Yeah.
And things we're gonna have some real permanent changes, and hopefully some legislation about AI and creativity comes through to some degree. It fucking needs to happen.
It needs to happen, because once we go with robotics, and this is where I personally think, we should go a lot, then you have a robot, for example, just a carrying robot, because I have a big problem. I live in an apartment which was built 1905.
Whoa.
In the way back, and we don't have a fucking elevator, and I live on 4th floor and in the rooftop. So I know already, and now I'm 49, yes, thank you so much. I know I look much younger.
I didn't say anything, yeah.
Okay, but all the people are cheering now. I hear them.
Right, yeah.
And I know this, if everything goes well with me, I can stay maybe for 20 years here, because then I'm 70. And from 70 on, my hips, my knees, they will not function as good as nowadays.
Yep.
So going up here is not an opportunity at one point, for sure. But what about a carrying robot who's just able here, who's able to carry me up and down?
Great. Those exist.
Because the thing is, this is the disruption of the elevators. Because with this fucking robot, I can go shopping because it's my shopping cart.
Oh, okay. I see what you're getting at.
You know, so it's very nice, I think. And but then I'm out in public, and then I walk as a little tiny old man, and I have this huge thing, being 500 kilo heavy, carrying for 1,000 kilo, and then
and then it cooks for you. It makes pork knuckle.
exactly this. And then a little 4-year-old is driving his bicycle in the way of the robot, and the robot goes like that, boom, and the
Whoa.
4-year-old flies out the fucking street.
We should write a screenplay.
Yeah, we just
Hey,
did.
can those robots hold back lions and prevent them from going out into the street?
This is so funny. This is Berlin, and this is how crazy this city is.
You should explain it. Yeah.
Yeah, I woke up yesterday, I think it was, or 2 days ago, I don't know. We got an alert that there's a lion out running free in Berlin.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is going on? It's like, and then the second alert came. Now it's sure that it didn't escape out of a zoo or out of a place where they take care about wild animals. So no one is missing a fucking lion. So everybody in the city, where's this fucking lion coming?
It's a private collection.
Then another good example of Germany, we have an expert who says, well, I watched that video. That's not a back of a lion. It's not a lion. And everybody is like, so what is it? And then today I woke up that we have here some problems with Arabic huge families. They are heavy into the criminal world.
Yeah.
Put it this way. I don't want to touch this now in detail. But there's a family called Ramo. And they break in. It's like huge thing. They really bad guys. It's a huge family. But one of those boys said, let's gather together and we will get the lion back. We will find the lion. Put it this way, Yep. So they're like private people now running around saying, I catch the lion. Even the cops are not catching the lion anymore. They don't know what's going on. But it's like, and the lion is like somewhere between Berlin and Potsdam, this like,
oh, right. Yeah.
somewhere out in the forest.
Oh my God.
It's like, and then some people say, but when no one is missing the lion, so it must be private. So how can a private person has a fucking lion?
There's a Tiger King in Berlin.
Yes. And then people are saying, yeah, well, but in Russia, it's like if you're rich, you need to have a wild animal, so maybe those people.
Mike
and then,
Tyson out there being like, Tiger.
Yeah, exactly. But the funny thing is, this is like this last year, and I don't know if you heard this before you came to Berlin last year. Historically, West Berlin is an island, right? We had a huge wall, but when we are digging holes in Berlin, we are still finding bombs from the Second World War, big, small, everything. And because of our history, we did this, and so we couldn't get when we were digging in the 80s or 70s, and we found those bombs. We couldn't get them to West Germany because we had to transport explosives through East Germany.
Good luck.
So the West Berlin said, okay, we have like an archive where we put all the fucking bombs, and then maybe each year or something we try to get rid of this. I didn't know it. But they stopped it, and we are not separated for 30 years, but this still archive is still out in the woods at Grunewald.
Yeah.
It's like next to the Avus. And last year it was so hot that this whole archive went on fire.
Boom.
The firefighter couldn't go there for a couple of days close because the heat was so strong that couldn't go near.
Oh, goodness.
And then people say, yeah, let's get we see this in Australia or in America, we have those planes who carry water. And they say, yeah, but Berlin don't have planes or helicopters like that.
Yeah.
We have to ask for someone, but this is now busy somewhere in Czech, or it's like, and then the German says, what the fuck is going on? We don't have a fucking helicopter to carry water. I mean, we're talking about the capital of Germany.
With a giant stash of bombs
Yes,
in a
exactly.
nearby forest.
It is well, it is in the old city center, so it's like from where I live, I drive 15 minutes to the place. Well,
That's unreal.
and
That's
that's
crazy.
welcome to Berlin. It's like, okay, we did we have explosives going on. I didn't The people didn't know that we have so many explosives. Now lions are out there. Oh, cool. We didn't know it's so easy to have a fucking
There's all
lion here.
these memes and jokes about the lion being in line for Bergheim and Kit Kat and like trying
Yeah,
to get in, or maybe it was part of some secret nightclub or something like that. And who knows, but it's
yeah.
so funny.
It is ridiculous. And the thing is that it comes always, for us Berliners, it's like, oh my God, another shit happens. Where's this coming from? But on the other hand, that's what many people forget is that's why we have Berlin like Berlin,
Yeah.
because our city fathers, they said, there's so many little towns, Charlottenburg, Wilmersdorf, blah blah blah, Neukölln, and stuff. They grew together. Let's make a mix, and the mix has to be so crazy that it has to be the mix of Germany, but of the world.
Yeah.
Because if you are traveling to this crazy city from a small town in Germany, you want to go to the Netherlands quarter, and then you see all the buildings built in the Netherlands because they were not able to go there
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
didn't have the money. That's why we have streets named like African
Yeah. Yeah.
cities or countries and stuff like that. That's why we have all this craziness here. But it's sometimes it's just like where everybody say, "Oh,
I
okay."
remember when my brother was up there and he as he visited and he goes, Joe, is there seriously a street called Karl Marx Alley? And I'm like, it's not only a street, it's a really big road. It's
Yeah,
massive.
yeah, yeah. And then, for example, our history with swinger clubs.
Oh yeah.
Berlin has so many sex and swinger clubs. I grew up with this. In the 70s.
Hell
It's
yeah.
like yeah, not going inside, but knowing about it,
Yeah, yeah.
and and stuff like that. And how we talk about sex and everything in the world. The germs, we have like nude beaches all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Crazy.
yeah, but how do we get from nude beaches to lions out there? It's yeah,
That was you. That was all you. You just sort of kept on going.
yeah.
Is this why you're gonna move to Australia eventually? You just
Probably yes,
yeah.
because Berlin is getting too many lions and nude people out here. No, it's right now it's crazy because we changed the government, and the old government in Berlin. When you were there, we had the old government with all those crazy ideas, and now they're fighting back, and it's like right now nothing happens. It's just being
Well, we
panicked.
have a similar thing too. So we have a before I went up to Berlin, we got new leadership in a federal level, so a new prime minister, different party, and yeah, currently not much is going on, but
Yeah,
the interest rate in Australia has just gone up and up and up and up and up and up. So we're definitely full tilt in recession mode,
yeah.
and the fact that the thing I talked about earlier today with you, I could be at a losing money position during a recession. Um,
Yeah.
it's going to be tricky, but anyway, that
By art.
but I actually have an idea for a painting, but I don't want to buy an easel, which is like the stand that you put your canvas on.
Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, I have an idea, but I can't. I can't afford anything at the moment.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm so
And
broke.
yeah, it's bad to have the circle, and it's like me, it's like right now, over here it's very tough if you're not in really so getting freelance for the last years. It's very tough to get in
Yep.
and to see, but everybody is, it's a strange situation right now. But this is way off our podcast
Yeah, no,
topic.
right. We've gone all over the place, but we've gone for an hour and 15 minutes. God damn, that's impressive. I've got to eat dinner, then go out to something because it's nighttime here. But
Yeah.
I've
And I will start my day. My wife is coming from grocery shopping, so not having the elevator, I have to carry the shit up.
well, at least that is good fitness, and
Yeah,
you get calf raises in, and
that's right. That's right.
no, your legs, not your arms. Anyway, thanks, Jan. Thanks everyone for listening.
Thanks, Joe.
Always
Yeah, have a nice weekend. About the is this off the record? Shall we talk about this later on or
We'll talk
tomorrow?
about it
Maybe?
later on, but
Okay,
yeah, it's pretty exciting.
cool.
Yeah, I'll tell you off the call. I'll stop recording, then I'll tell you a bit about it now. Actually,
Yeah.
yep, cool.
Let me just go run to the toilet quickly.
Yep, no worries. Bye, everyone.
Cheers. Bye bye.